Today on the show, we watch what I think might be the Titanic version of World War II. All this and more on What the Hell Did We Just Watch? Welcome to another episode of What the Hell Did We Just Watch? I'm your host, Emotional Lou, and this is the show, the only show that helps spread TV and movie awareness. How's everyone doing today? How is everyone's week been going? I hope everyone's been enjoying their summer. I hope everybody's been enjoying their summer of movies and movie watching, because I am starting to feel that 2017 is a very good year in movie watching. There are still a lot of things to look forward to, which I'm very happy about. And throughout the year, I've seen more movies this year in a theater than I had in a long time, 1999 to be exact. Not saying that I wasn't going to the movies, but I was, but not as often as I've been going this year. So I'm very happy about that. I am very happy for the film that I'm about to talk to today. Sorry for the long kind of like waiting for this the refresh of this episode. I took a little mini vacation. I had a birthday week. Thank you for any of the shout outs of happy birthday to everybody that told me happy birthday. So thank you for that. I also needed to take a little break, and I've watched a couple of films that I'm going to be talking about, and I also came up with some new topics that we will be talking about as well, with and without guest appearances. So I'm very excited for what the future's going to bring for this show, and I can't wait to let you guys in on a per episode basis on where we're going to go. But in the meantime, we are going to talk about a very interesting film called Dunkirk.
Every hour the enemy pushes closer.
Can't we evacuate? It's impossible.
Now, there's only one thing that I can honestly say about Christopher Nolan's latest opus called Dunkirk, and that is that this film is short, just a shy bit short of brilliant and almost near flawless. And it's the best way that you can see, budget excluding, but in terms of writing, this is the perfect example on how simple you can write a story and actually come out and be an amazing, well-told story. You know what I mean? Like it's finesse. It's the way that this film is written is so simple that, they give you like the, in a good way, but it gives you that, I can do this. I can write. I can do this kind of thing, that these people are doing. It's just the budget, obviously, but the budget is a totally different thing, because your budget should not take away on how you should write a film, how you should write a screenplay or a book. You should not be restricted on how you feel your script should be. And I feel that the script to this film is so simple and it's so well told. It makes so much sense. You're not lost in translation in the film. And I think that it's a great thing that kind of a thing works. And I love the fact that Christopher Nolan has a good niche in that he tells these very kind of simple stories. And even Inception, and that's a complicated film, but the story, it's a very simple story. It makes sense when you write it. You know what I mean? Like when it's written. And the film is what makes it complicated, because it turns into a big direction and how you film it, how you want to execute it. And for me, Inception is not confusing at all, but you got to pay attention. That's the way films are, right? That's the way, especially Christopher Nolan's films, it helps to pay attention. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about the Dark Knight trilogy, because with the Dark Knight trilogy, there's this kind of like, there's a sense of simplicity in the way the film is made. There's no real It's not multi-layered, and even the stuff that is multi-layered is also surfaced, and it's simple storytelling and it's simple movie making, which also shows that he can make a studio film. But I think that Christopher Nolan shines the best and the most brightest when he's not making a studio film, when he's making his ambitious film, when he's making the films that he wants to write, that he wants to direct, that he has a pure vision on, and that he wants to execute himself, to the best of his abilities in the way that the film can be made. And thank you for the Dark Knight trilogy, for him having that kind of like stepping stone, for him to be in a place where he can make the films that he wants to make and be, successful about it. And you can't knock that. You can't say nothing negative about that. And also, segueing into Dunkirk, you can't say that with a near flawless film like this film is. This film is about just set in World War II, and it tells the story of the evacuation from the beaches of Dunkirk in France, but mostly told from the point of view of the British. So it's told in three different stories. You're getting the point of view of a soldier, you're getting a point of view of a pilot, and you're getting the point of view of this father who is two sons who are one of the family, the groups of people that take the civilians that take their boat, and sail across over to Dunkirk to get their soldiers back, because they're being plummeted and they're being just kind of like shitted on by the German soldiers because they have almost nearly overtook the entire town of Dunkirk. The things that I really, really like this film is that, like I said, story-wise, the film tells a near flawless story of three point of views. Though they're told in about a 30-minute span each film, each story is about 30 minutes, but the way that he writes it in and the way that it's edited in there, where you can like see it from these point of views and you're seeing them from point of times, it also feels a little bit like he took the formula that he wrote Inception for and put it into this film, and it worked. It worked beautifully, and you got to see these 3 point of views, and you got to care about where the story was in the moment that it was, and the things that were happening at the moment that they were happening. And I think that Nolan, as him and his brother Jonathan Nolan, I think that they're great storytellers. This one's Christopher Nolan's baby, but they know how to write. They know how to write suspense. They know how to write real drama. They even know how to write action. They know how to build things up. They know how to gradually start something and then really, increase it as it keeps going up and up and up and up and up. And Nolan is just pure brilliant when it comes to this. And that's the reason why I love watching his films. The first film I watched from him was the movie Memento, and that blew me away. I didn't, at the time, did not see something like that before. Well, in terms of storytelling, because I think that one of the things that makes Christopher Nolan so unique for me is that he is a writer first and a director second, and there are some filmmakers that are that way. They're writer directors, like Kevin Smith in the comedy side, and then a couple of other people that are writer directors instead of director writer. That's the reason why that's where you want to achieve if you're a screenplay writer, and like I am. That's also one of the reasons why I took a little break, was because I'm writing at the moment, and that's kind of taking up a little bit of my time as well. Not to mention like I said, my vacations and my birthday and all that stuff. But I've been enveloped in writing right now, and I can't wait to finish it. It's in the process. I'm about 25% done because I'm anal, and I need to go back and I need to stop that and just complete my screenplay. But sorry for that. Let's back to Dunkirk. Like I said, that's what I mean about writing. That he gets to tell the story he wants, and that he finesses it, and he doesn't really have to answer to anyone. He doesn't have to answer to how he has to make the film that he wants to make. He had the support of two major film companies to come up with the money to give him to make this film, and that's amazing. There aren't that many directors out there, especially writers, that can convince two big motion pictures companies and come together and make a movie. And that's the power of great filmmakers. You know what I mean? And more power to him. And he got to tell the story that he wanted to tell, especially due to the fact that he was tied up with 2 movie companies to tell the story. And I hope that they have been happy with the results, because it's been number 1 for weeks. You know, it's been out for a while. And I think that the best thing that they can do is not just with money, because it's being successful with money, but the reputation of Christopher Nolan goes a long way. His awards, you know, I think that this film is the first film that I can honestly say will be a very big contender at the Oscars for the coming year when we get to see it in February. And I believe that it's my second favorite film of the year so far. You know, I'm making a list as we speak, and that's going to be at the end of the year. But, you know, that has the ability to change. But as far as I know, it's flawless. It's near brilliant. And it's right up there with how amazing the movie Baby Driver was this year so far. And a couple of other films that I've watched this year and enjoyed very, very much. You know, and they're going to be on the list. And when I get a chance, you'll get to hear that list. And, you know, so stay tuned for that. The thing that I did not like, and now there's always something negative about every film. Trust me when I tell you there is. There are some movies that I feel are near perfect. You'll get to know what movies they are when I tell my list of my top 20, when I get the chance for that too. But what I feel is the only thing that's wrong with this film, and it's like, and I went into super picky mode, nitpicky mode. There's one non-picky mode and one picky mode. And the one that I think that falls for the small nitpick is I didn't care as much as I wanted to about the 3 main characters from the 3 different stories, because I feel that we didn't get to see them for as long as we got to see them. The film is a little short, but also was very, you know, I believe is intelligently as long as it is, so people can really enjoy it and have no real negative things to say about it. And, you know, that segues to the thing that is not nitpicky, is that we got told 3 beautifully amazing stories for about 30 minutes apiece. Because the movie's about an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes. And I feel that we were robbed of 3 very good movies in this stuff. These 3 short stories can be their own movie. That's the thing that's crazy. They can be their own 2-hour movie, believe it or not. Like, you would be excited. You wanted to keep watching. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I mean about the very small negative, because necessarily it's not a negative. It's more of a positive. You know, it's a positive thing about the film, but it's a negative because in a way, I think it would have been a fucking amazing film if it was a 3-hour film and we got about an hour of story for every character that was told, for the 3 different perspectives of story: the soldier, the pilot, and the father with the 2 sons on the boat, the civilians. And I feel that we were robbed of 3 fucking amazing stories that, like I said, could be their own movie. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that's pretty much like my only negative, and you could take it as a negative, but it actually really isn't one. Like I said, it's a small nitpick. I wanted to care a lot more from emotionally attached. I wanted to be emotionally attached to these characters the way that most people are attached to Jack and Rose. I think that certain films need to be 3 hours, you know, let's say 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours, you know, to tell a proper story where you're emotionally involved with every character, because the cast is pretty huge in this film and everybody's story is kind of on the surface, but there is an emotional tension. You do feel for people. It's Hollywood in a way where you don't need to have this huge emotional epic heft to it. But sometimes I feel that a film needs that. Sometimes there is a story to have to be told in a 3-hour running time, and I believe that Dunkirk should have been one of them. That's my personal opinion when it comes to that. And hey, you never know. Maybe there is a 3-hour cut. That Nolan made, because I feel that the film is too short for its own good. I left wanting more. I left wanting to see more details. And like I said, the film reminds me of like Titanic in a way, and you're kind of like missing out. I feel like that the film, in a way, got to the part where the boat starts sinking, and that's the movie that we're watching. You know what I mean? Instead of like the build-up before or even during, where it's like more detailed about how to escape the beach properly and all this and that. A much more detailed version of it. Maybe a group of civilians that are sailing together to go across Great Britain into Dunkirk to get the people, their British soldiers, home. Maybe that's what it is. There wasn't much of a struggle. I'm just saying, but there are a lot of struggles in this film. There's a lot of layers. Like I said, there's a lot of story to tell, but it kind of just stays on the surface and maybe goes down to about 2 or 3 levels of emotional heft for you to kind of like cheer for them or be sad for them or whatever. So, the film is brilliant. Trust me when I tell you the film is brilliant, but a person that appreciates a film that he watches and loves also got to see, how the film actually makes them feel or not feel, or feel a lot or feel a little. And I think every film should be discussed in this way. And, there's no such thing as a perfect film. Trust me, even the films that I love dearly are flawed, and they have their own problems for whatever, for better or for worse. And whatever they are, for whatever reasons, politically, technically, whatever is the thing that holds them back. And, there's nothing wrong with that. Make the films that you want to make the story, the best story that you possibly can from it. And, strive. And just like Christopher Nolan does, just because he has a multi-million-dollar deal behind his back doesn't mean that he won't struggle to tell the stories that he wants to tell. Sometimes it's difficult, trust me when I tell you that it is. There's a lot of stories from peoples, even somebody as big as Stanley Kubrick, that had, screenplay woes and all that stuff, but that's for another episode. That's for another time and another place, but I think that I've said all that I can say about Dunkirk. I think I've talked way too much about Dunkirk, but I just want to say a little bit about Christopher Nolan. He is in a position for me that I believe that he can do no wrong for me. I've seen every single one of his films that he's ever released. I've even seen his brother's TV show called Person of Interest, which was amazing, which was brilliant. I love just the way he writes. I love what he wants to get out of his writing. And he still needs to, not hit home run for me. And I don't think that there's any sign of stopping for him. I don't think that there's any sign of a slowdown for him. And I think that anything at this point, just like Edgar Wright, you could tell me that he's doing the next movie, and at this point, I don't really care what the subject matter is. I just need to see what he does, because that's why you appreciate a filmmaker. Is because that's why when it comes to a new film, I pay attention to who's working behind the scenes from it, because that's what's going to give me the real interest to want to watch a certain film. And also, there's nothing wrong with becoming a fan of a filmmaker and saying that man can do no wrong, or that woman can do no wrong. Okay, it's brilliant. There are and you want to keep watching their work. You want to keep watching the things they do, and you want to keep watching the things that they're involved in, because you might think that person makes great ideas. You got to stop. There are people that really think that when they watch something that things just happen at random and that it's just a random success. Sometimes that is true, but a lot of times it's actually not. You know what I mean? There are people that can smell success and they know how to create success because they're good at what they do. And Christopher Nolan is one of those people that knows what to do and how to do it and what he needs to do to get it done. Okay? There's nothing wrong with wanting to see a specific filmmaker and his work and support his work, because it reaches you. And I have a lot of people that are like that are both dead and alive, that, like, for instance, Alfred Hitchcock is my favorite director of all time. He's my number one. I haven't seen every single one of his films, but I am gonna see them. I've seen the majority, about maybe 70% of all his films or anything he's done, I have seen. And it's brilliant in their own way. All of these films are brilliant. You know what I mean? And that's what you strive for. And then you got my second filmmaker of all time, Stanley Kubrick, who I have seen every single one of his films. And again, like after watching one, it's the same thing. You want to watch all the stuff they ever made. I don't like some people they're looking for a good movie because they're certain actors in it, but the actors don't make movies. You know, there's nothing wrong with liking an actor or an actress, but they're not the writers of the story. They're not the ones who move the story along. They're not the ones who tell the story. They're just a key part into a bigger wheel. You understand what I'm saying? And so the people that I feel that you need to follow to keep wanting or to keep getting a better success rate in watching films that you like is to pay attention who's directing the film, and more importantly, pay attention to who's writing the film, because you'll be less disappointed. Okay, I don't suffer from being disappointed as much anymore in watching films because I know what I watch. I know what I'm getting out of that filmmaker when I watch a certain film that they make. Okay, I know what to expect from them because I know how they work. I know the kind of films they make or how they make their films, and it doesn't even matter the genre. Okay, it doesn't matter what kind of topic he'll use. Christopher Nolan has knocked it out of the park with drama, with action, with comic book, and also now war film. That's what I mean. Like, he jumps genres. It's not a movie that random. I know maybe some people, and Christopher Nolan is smart for this because I like it when people do this, when filmmakers do this. But the fact that Harry Styles is a soldier in the film, I'm pretty sure a lot of people just said, "Hey, let me go watch it because Harry Styles is in it." Believe it or not, that's the way politically why you put celebrities in a movie. Also, because if someone is your fan and you really, really ask, like Samuel L. Jackson asked George Lucas if he can be in the next Star Wars film. Even The Rock has asked if he can be, at the time, in a Star Wars film. Obviously he got declined for whatever reason, but you know what I mean? People ask for favors. There are people that are fans of the franchise, of these franchises, or they're fans of certain filmmakers and they want to make movies with them, and the cost doesn't matter. And that's real Hollywood for me. That's what Hollywood is all about for me. Is that inside player thing, that friends make movies with friends, stuff like that. I get a kick out of that. And Christopher Nolan did the exact same thing in this film. He has a lot of people that he's worked with in this film, and they don't even play huge roles. And in other movies that he's made with them, they play huge roles, or they're big characters, whether they're the main or the secondary or whatever. But they play bigger roles in all movies, but they don't care because they want to be in a movie where he is making the film, because they believe in his work, they believe in the process, they believe in the way that that he makes movies. He loves the way that they're portrayed in his movies, and things like that. Tom Hardy became Mad Max because of George Miller's reputation in Hollywood. It wasn't like another paying job. He said yes because an actor has the ability to say no. Okay, that happens too. It's not like yes every time. He said yes to something that he dedicated himself, that took a filmmaker 10 years to finish. You know what I mean? So that's respect. That's what I mean. But that's respect about it in the Hollywood that I support, in the Hollywood that I like talking about. You know what I mean? So take it, or ingest it, and let me know what you think. Facebook.com/WhatTheHellPcast, Instagram.com/WhatTheHellPcast, Twitter.com/TheHellPcast. You can follow me on SoundCloud and YouTube. What the hell did we just watch? ? If you want to do that. And you can just listen to me there as well. You can listen to me on any single podcast feed that you guys like to listen to. Podbean, Podbase, Stitcher Radio, all those kind of things. Just let me know. Give me a feedback. Let me know if you have anything to say about Dunkirk, good or bad. I really don't care. I always want to hear people's opinions when it's an intelligent opinion, okay? Or when you are actually factually correct, all right? And that's the only way that I like my opinions. So keep them coming. Keep your opinions coming just in that way. If you have questions, I'd like to answer them. So let me know. And so I'll gladly put it on the show. All right. So I think that's all we got to say. I think we've talked way too much about Dunkirk and Christopher Nolan and the future of Christopher Nolan. So without further ado, this is your professional appreciator saying it's been Lumotional.